Hey everybody, Steve DeLaviaga, Rise Consulting. I am so excited to have my Broker Brand podcast guest here. Lots of enthusiasm and lots of chatter and noise about this group. Miss Spring Bengtzen. Spring, how are you, my dear?
So fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely excited to have you. Now, Spring is with a company called Real. Real has been around for 5 to 6 years-ish, but now all of a sudden, because they're getting people like Spring, the #1 agent in all of Utah, huge brand, somebody who's been with Keller Williams, with Realty Run her own show, and now they get this level of influence. And Spring, you brought over 200 people in what, weeks, days?
Yeah, it's been about 45 days so far. It's been fun. It's like I'm having a blast, to be honest with you. It's like the funnest I've had in my career in a while, so I'm loving it.
Well, what I love about it is, and I have the great privilege to work with 496 teams across the United States, all elite real estate teams, and I'm seeing that as a team person now, you're realizing, man, I got a lot of people that I could help. I got a lot of people I could influence. Yeah. And now I'm not driven by, oh, here's my little geo box of 12 miles from this one to the next franchise or whatever. You can go anywhere you want in the world and help people with real estate. And that's kind of appealing to you, isn't it?
Yeah, that's 100% why I chose this model. So a little back history, like you said, I was at KW and then I opened up my own real estate firm. And then when I got into it, I'm like, wow, I am attracting a lot of agents, but it's in my little bubble. And I know that I have so much more to offer than just in this 20-mile radius of people wanting to come to my brick and mortar. And so when we really started looking at it, I'm like, how can we scale and what model makes the most sense? And this Real made 100% sense to me because of that, because of the fact that we could go and we could leverage our relationships and our networks and create something massive instead of just being in our little 20-mile bubble of Davis County, Utah. So,
well, what I'm so overly impressed with, and you know this, success and production brings attraction, brings influence. So let's talk a little about Spring Bengtzen, the rock star agent / elite team leader that you are. You guys did 650 deals last 12-month run rate. Is that about right?
we're on pace for that. Yep. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's been fun. Yeah. So we run a team of, we have about 30 agents out of 20 minutes north of Salt Lake County. I've had a team for, gosh, probably about 10 years. And it wasn't until a few years ago that we got serious about taking it to that next level. And it was because I was in, I think all of you team leaders can resonate with this, of that messy middle where you're like, okay, wait a minute. I have all the expenses, all the lead gen to go to that next level. But I ultimately, I have to make a decision. Do I go stay here, or do I go back to being a solo agent and just crush it? Or do I go and recruit like crazy? And so we decided that we were going to go attract agents and scale. And it's been a super fun ride, and it's just getting started. So.
Well, first of all, congratulations.
Yeah,
One,
thank you.
because I think there are too few ladies doing this in this space at this level, right? We got a lot of guys that have been able to do it, but it's so great when I see, because I have a couple of my rock star ladies that run teams. My tagline with them is, hey, you can't have it all, right?
Oh yeah,
you can be beautiful, be a great wife, be a great mom, be successful in business, kill it. You can have it all, right? Sometimes we get that mindset that you can't. So you do this, and then while you're building this mega group, the biggest group in all of Utah, you decide, hey, I'm going to go start a national network too and move brokerages. What was the impetus for that?
Well, so what had happened is I had this team, and most people, I do preach that you can have it all. I'm very unapologetic about that you can have the best life ever and that I don't have to sacrifice. And so we'd have this team, but people would leave because they'd outgrow it or whatever, but they never left me or my network. It was just, they weren't leaving in the sense of like, I don't like you, Spring. They just wanted that next opportunity. So I had this brilliant idea of, we'll go start a brokerage, and they can just move over to the brokerage side. Well, that worked and it was great. But what I realized is, to make it profitable, we had to go and attract a bunch of
1,000 people. Yeah.
Yes. Like we had to attract a lot of agents, and it really got into like, wow, this is not my thing. Like, I don't want to have to go and attract just in this little area to make this brick and mortar, pay a broker, pay my ops person, pay somebody to write the checks, profitable, when I have a team that's extremely profitable. So we started looking at what makes the most sense. And when we got into it, I really loved the model of the national brokerage, of getting rid of all the overhead, being able to leverage influence, and also really, like I said, what was very attractive was that you can be surrounded by other people who are crushing it, and you're all cheering each other on and benefiting from each other succeeding. So it makes it a lot easier to grow. And then obviously the stock and the rev share was super attractive. So I took on the challenge basically out of like, I need to make a shift because of the decision that I had made of opening a brokerage wasn't the right fit for me. And this model is 100% what makes sense, I think, for everybody, truthfully, but definitely for me.
Well, first of all, that's a great story. And I do think this is important to all of our ladies that are engaged. You can have it all. You absolutely can. Mm-hmm. Don't listen to the noise. Don't get stuck in it. You can, because I've seen too many people now doing it and happy as heck and have great lives. Yeah. So you made a great point about the team piece, though. There's a messy middle, isn't there? There's you're at 4 to 6, you're turning agents over. You're like, why am I herding cats with these people? I don't need this. I can go be a single agent, make more money. Yeah. But you really wanted a business as opposed to a practice. And a practice meant you'd always have to be doing it. A business meant it could run and you could lead it, not always have to be in it. So was there a coach that gave you that choice? Did you just make it yourself? Had you been playing in that long enough? You're like, I'm done with this. I got to go make it a business. What was the why there?
I think the why came out of a lot of pain, truthfully, because I do believe you can have it all. But man, like, I've been in real estate for almost 20 years. And so just staying in that middle, because what would happen is I'd run a really small team and I'd create a lot of producers. And so when one would leave, it would really affect your business, because it wasn't like 20 deals or 30 deals. It was a chunk of deals walking out the door. And so it was a lot of it. It was through coaching. I have a phenomenal coach. He's a mutual friend of ours, Brett Tanner. He's fantastic. It was through a lot of coaching, different mastermind groups, that I was like, you know what, I could do this. I don't necessarily, I can attract people and we can train them. And what's different than training one person to 5? And so that's really the model of where we just decided to scale it. The pivoting point, which I'm giving a shout out, is I took Viral Marketing's recruiting course. Frank Kleswitz, I call him. He's like
Frank's my guy.
He's a genius.
He's
yeah. Frank and I are really dear friends, and so I took his recruiting course, and from there the rest has been history. So,
how many people in your team now, my dear?
We have about 30. Our intention is to go to 50 by the end of July, which is in 5 weeks, right? I don't know when this will air, but so we are on a recruiting attraction mission right now, because we have the benefit. We have the leads, we have the coaching, we have the mentoring. We just need to get the message out there that we need more agents. So,
all right, so let's get the broker piece of this with Real. You've got downline revenue, you've got national opportunity, you've got a very realistic cap. What is the cap if I'm an agent and come to Real? What's that look like?
So for a team owner or leader or a solo agent, it's $12,000. So it's an 85-15 split. It's $12,000. And then if you're a team member, it's a $6,000 cap.
So very economic. So what
very
is the
affordable.
one thing when you're talking to an agent, what is the one thing you have to get across to them about Real, such that they understand it's the best brokers to be at, and why?
Well, that's a loaded question, because I think it depends on who I'm speaking with.
Good girl. I agree. Let's say 25 deals a year agent thinking about changing brokerage.
Okay, so 25 deals in a year, for me, it would be the power and proximity and the leverage of the opportunity to be in alignment with these agents that are helping you grow. Like, even we all have private Facebook groups, coaching, masterminds that we're putting on, that all of us top agents in our network are 100% committed to helping our network grow. So that's what I'm hitting on, is like, you're not getting trained by your broker that's sitting behind the desk that's making sure you're not going to gel. You're getting trained by all of us, or in the coaching and opportunity to pick up the phone and call me and I'll help you. And so that's probably the number one for that type of producer.
Excellent. I love it. Now, listen, here's where I want to get a little bit raw, right? Let's be a little adversarial on this. You've got
Okay.
all these groups coming in, people like EXP, Open Door, Zillow's now a brokerage. There's
Yeah.
all these different models coming in. What makes Real better and different than all these different kind of, hey, we're going to give you some downline, multi-level, all the things we hear about it. What makes Real different? What made it take you as opposed to you going to an EXP or joining up with the Zillow or Open Door?
Yeah. So I don't believe that one's better than the other. I can only speak for myself. I believe that you're successful for yourself, right? For myself, why I chose Real over the others was I love the opportunity getting in at the ground floor. I was agent 2000 in the company, which that's a huge opportunity to help create it. They are a smaller company, so like I can message Tamir, who is the CEO, and say, hey, I've got this idea. What do you think? Or get on with Peter, who's the CEO. That doesn't happen in a larger company. So I wanted the opportunity to be able to have a little bit of influence in some of the direction. Their stock plan is crazy aggressive right now because it is a newer company. They are wanting to attract solid agents. And so the stock program from being able to, from when you attract an agent and or when you cap is very aggressive, as well as the rev share. What I liked about the rev share at Real compared to an EXP was your top line is only 25 people instead of 40, which neither here nor there, it just worked for me of what I wanted to do. And then it goes 5 levels deep instead of 7. It's really built off of that you are working with those that you can have an influence on, instead of it just attracting a bunch of people underneath you that, like, by level 7, in my opinion, I probably don't know you. So it has been an opportunity that you'd get to grow your influence on a wider scale instead of it just going down. Neither here nor there. I have a ton of friends at EXP that absolutely love it and think I'm crazy. I think that I made the best decision ever. So it's what works for you. But I believe that right now, if somebody is looking, if they should look at Real or EXP, Real is a better option at this point because it is new and it's a great opportunity to get in where I got in at.
I love your demeanor about, and you said it so classy, in that it's just about, look, it's best for whatever's best for you, right? Like there's no right or wrong.
Yeah.
There's just what works
Yeah.
for you. Okay.
Yeah.
And this is an important piece too. So if I was to bolt on to Real and in turn Spring Bengtzen's national network, how do you explain what they get? Do you get a weekly mastermind? Walk me through what you get as an agent if I'm bolted into your national network in your world.
Yeah. So right now, what we're doing is, again, we're only 45 deep, so it's a little fluid of where it's going. Right now, we have a Real World Facebook page, which has everybody in there, and we're putting in live streams of all of our different training. We're doing a weekly mastermind group. Right, we're probably will move it to 2 a week that will be different production levels because we can't. What goes to a larger is going to be different than the smaller. We are doing live events. So if you're in Utah, we do twice a month a live event that we live stream out as well. In that Real World that we bring in somebody to speak. So last week was Colton Lindsay. This next one is a Tony Robbins speaker on Thursday. And then we're going to do private mastermind groups as well. So we're planning our first event tomorrow of what that looks like. And we'll fly out, depending upon who you are too. If you're like, hey, I want to do an event, we'll fly to you and put something together, help you. You have to get people there, but we'll help you put on an event for agent attraction and or networking. So it's going to be fun. I think the next 2 to 3 years are going to be a lot of collaborating and traveling. We're really excited about it, but it is a little fluid of exactly, but today that is what you get. And I'm sure that it will expand from there.
What I love seeing all of my lions that are now really have their, real estate business, their buyer broker, their investment, their fix and flip, and now their attraction and influence business, which are actually becoming businesses, Spring. Like we've got staff now in these, admin in these. It's a true business as they built it. And you can already see it. You're at 200 agents. You're at 10% of the company in 45 days.
Yeah.
You're just getting started. And that's going to be just so much fun. That's awesome. All right. So in 3 to 5 years from now, let's just say 3 years, it's easy to look down that way.
Okay.
Is the brokerage even going to matter? Are we just going to be a whole set of national networks within infrastructures and everything else? What's that going to look like in 3 years? I feel like the broker, unfortunately, is becoming one of the least important stakeholders in the real estate transaction. And the influence, which tends to be with elite teams and producers, people who have sold houses every day, because you and I are talking this, a lot of brokers haven't sold a home in a decade.
Yeah.
So trying to explain how to do it better doesn't work. What do the next 3 years look like for you in that broker landscape?
I think it's going to get very competitive in this sense. I already think it is. You and I are on the same page. I personally don't think the brokerage matters at all. I believe that you're going to be successful for who you are. Just like I just answered the question earlier of, it doesn't matter like which one you choose. It has to be what's good for you. I believe this model that we're in is going to go like wildfire. I believe there are other companies that will jump on the bandwagon. They're going to have to. I just don't see how somebody, unless they are not exposed to it, would want to be at the traditional brokerage model. And that's what I honestly think, Steve, is a lot of people aren't exposed. Like I saw somebody post on Instagram yesterday about their two friends, one at EXP, one at Real, and they're like, is it a Ponzi scheme? And they were making fun of them. And I thought, you have no clue. You obviously haven't been educated of like the opportunity that's here. Even if, I'm going to challenge this, even if you are not going to be somebody who wants to go attract a bunch of agents, I have owned brokerage before. I have seen that most agents come because their friend is there or they have a referral. Most attract at least two people. Okay, like that statistic. So that alone, if you attracted two people that were capping at Real, that's $8,000 of company dollar that you would get back in rev share. That means you're only paying the company $4,000 a year if you're a capper. Where else can you work for that? Like you can't. And so the model to me makes sense for every production of an agent, every production level, if you understand it.
I think this is unfortunately, it's a historical epidemic in real estate, is to comment on things that you really know nothing about, right?
Yes,
we have coaches that coach agents that haven't sold a home in 30 years. We have agents that comment on models they have no idea. And here's what I will tell you, the fastest growing models in the world are the ones where you are, because they understand giving the people with influence a platform to help and assist, coach, and train more people only builds that broker network. But the broker itself isn't going to build it generally. I mean, there's back in the heyday of Dave Liniger and Gary Keller, those guys were building things, right? They brought, now today, let's be honest, it doesn't matter. I love Glenn, but he's a smart guy, Sanford, but people are going there because they want to be with Kyle or Andrew or whoever, right? Just like with Real, I'm coming to be in your network, Spring. I don't really care about Tamir. He might be a great guy, but I'm really wanting to be with you, and I can do that at a very affordable price. So okay, let's jump into this a little bit. Let's be a little, since it's my podcast and I'm the head of HR, and I say this is fine, we're doing it.
Okay,
let's get into it. I love it, baby. Let's get into this, like from the ladies' perspective.
Okay.
Gosh, it's hard to be a woman in real estate. It's hard to be a man in real estate, but you've usually got a large, if you have children, you've got that responsibility. You really got to be on 24/7. So if you're a single mom or you're going into real estate as a second career, give me 3 things you think you got to do right away to kind of ensure success at the highest level. What 3 things you got to do right away if you're going to build a real estate practice or business that works?
Okay, so as a woman,
yes.
Okay, so if you have children, get over the mom guilt. Like you have to hire somebody to help take care of your kids or have it arranged, and just know that, you're going to be working a lot at first, but it's because you're going to be creating a really cool, awesome life for them. And it's that foundation. So one is make sure you have childcare and just get over the fact that it's going to be okay. And the more that you grow, the less that will have to happen, but there is that sacrifice at first. Second thing I would say is also still setting that expectation with yourself and your husband as well, because I can't tell you how many Valentines I missed back in the day when I sold resort real estate. Valentine's is over President's weekend. And so it'd be like Valentine's dinner, and the client walks in and you're like, oh shit, I am so sorry. I missed our date. So, but, and the other side of that was that it provided a really great lifestyle that it just, like I said, be unapologetic of, hey, we'll make up for it. The other thing is I would say, I know this is hard, but if you can have some type of nest egg that you're not desperate, I don't care if you're a male or a female, but that stress that comes from feeling like, oh my God, I gotta make this. Like, I'm a fan of burning the boats 100%. Like, you have to go all in. This is not a part-time job. Make sure you have the money that you can do that. So you have to make sure that you can go full-time, that you are all in, and that you are financially okay that you can do it. And then the other thing I would just say is join a team, which I know sounds cliche because I own a team, but it is so hard to get going on your own. And why try to like go through the trenches on your own? Like, come team up with somebody like myself or someone else that we can plug you in to a model that works and get you into production immediately, that you can have the opportunity to feel the success instead of trying to fumble through. And I also, I guess too, other thing, Steve, is I believe that women are powerful. I believe that you can have it all. I believe like you just have to be willing to put it out there. And so the whole like male female thing, I believe I have more opportunities than most males. So I would just tell them to own it and make it happen.
I love, that's why I asked you to talk about it. I love it because here's the reality. Real estate itself is a balancing act, and you hit it on the head.
Yeah.
Some weeks work wins. Your job over the next 3 to 4 weeks is make sure home wins a little bit too. But there is no even keel. There is no 50-50. It's a joke, right? Some weeks I'm at 80-20 and work's kicking my ass and I got to get better at home. And some weeks I can, get away from things and make home better. So that's important. The other thing is, and I'm saying this to everybody, please don't start in real estate on your own. It's a terrible choice.
Yeah.
You go get a high school diploma, you go get a college degree, go get a 2-year or 4-year real estate degree by working under someone like Spring Bengtzen, who you can be like, hey, I don't have to pay for the CRM, the leads, the scripting, the knowledge. I'm getting a 2-year degree and you're paying me. And by the way, it's not a 50-50 split. It's a 50-50 share because you already did all the work, spent all the money, did all the things you need to do. They're basically getting a 50% profit margin business that you're giving them by being in your team.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Congrats. Right?
Yeah. I will say too, like, my life is amazing. Like, if you follow me on social or anything, like, it's not fake. Like, I freaking love my life. That comes with the fact that I have a lot of leverage. So I do have people that work in my home. I do have people work in the team. Like, my husband laughs all the time. Somebody made a comment. He's like, yeah, Spring just hire somebody to do that. I'm like, I do. Like, I have it to when I'm at home, I'm home. Like, I can go do the things with my kids. Like, I don't do the minute things around the house because I do want to have that time to spend with my children. I believe like anybody can have that. It's just a question of what leverage and what's important to you. What you have to decide what you do and don't want to do, and the leverage the rest out, Steve. Great.
I think this is important. And you said it first thing you said, get over the mom guilt. The mom guilt about kids, the mom guilt about someone else cleaning your house, the mom guilt about someone else going to the store. But none of that shit matters. You know what matters? Quality time with the Bambinos, quality time with your spouse, right? Actually conscious time where you're sitting there, you and me, eye to eye, and we're having our time together. This is where people get weird about, no, I want to, helping you clean the house for 90 minutes is a shitty experience for both of us, right?
Right.
Exactly. Let's go have a glass of wine and go talk about what our days are like, what we're going to do with our children. And it's worth the money to pay for leverage. But again, here's the problem with you, and I'm in the same boat. Once you start with leverage, you get addicted to it. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I look for stuff that I can't not do. So, all right. In closing, I want you to know this. One thing you'd want people to know about Spring Bengtzen that they may not know easily, so you can share that with everybody.
like on a personal level or
Whatever,
what?
personal, this absolutely. Something like you dated Tom Cruise in high
Oh,
school. You were a Olympic, curler. I don't know, whatever you
okay.
give me something cool.
Okay, so when I was 20 years old, I was at Lake Mead for 4th of July weekend, and I was in a boat that caught on fire and it exploded. So 85% of my body is a giant skin graft. You might know that, you might not know that, but
Oh
it
my
was the
God.
most, yeah, it was the most beautiful experience. And I say that from a lot of tragedy creates triumphs, and I just never had it as a negative. But the most beautiful thing that came from that was I was on life support. Super long story. I won't get into it on this podcast. But I thought I was dying, and they all like rushed in because my roommate died, and she was the one who was dying. I just remember asking the doctor, I'm like, "Am I dying?" Because you're just drugged, and when you're burned that much, you are drugged as much as possible, And he looked at me and he's like, "No, it's your choice if you live or die. You get to choose." And I just remember being like, "What? It's that easy? Like this is a choice?" And I remember thinking, I haven't seen who I'd marry or my children or any of that. And it was like 4 days later, spring was like back into somewhat reality. But I carried that through my whole entire life. Is my life is a complete choice. Like if I am choosing to be happy, I get to choose if my marriage is successful. I get to choose what type of business I have, what relationships. And so that was probably the biggest life lesson that happened to me in like a crazy situation. I'll tell you the whole story another time. But yeah, I would just tell you your life's a choice and you get to choose whatever it is that you want to make it.
Wow. That's amazing. And
I bet you
that's
weren't expecting that, right?
oh my God. Beautiful girl. That was perfect.
Oh,
That was better.
thank
That's
you.
better than much. That should be the whole podcast because
Yeah.
isn't it funny? Like
Yeah.
all your failing forward creates where you end up in life, all of it.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, I look
uh,
at it that way all the time. Yeah. What am I going to learn from this? And then you move past it. So
unbelievable.
yeah.
Well, congratulations on all your success. You're just going to
Thank you.
this will create a ton of interest in Reel because if they can get someone like you to go there, then they have done a lot right in their business. So congratulations. That's awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you. I appreciate that. It was so fun. Thank you for having me today.